throw this out.
You've got a choice.
Now, what was the other one again? Oh,
Yes.
you gently bumped into him.
Yes, gently
Okay.
bumping into him.
The gently bumping into him is by accident. Now, if it is a pure accident, yes, by all means. But you're going with a preconceived idea that it is an accident.
Yes.
Therefore, it is an action that you have planned.
Yes.
So it's not an accident.
Yeah.
If you trip over something purely by accident and you bump into him and he falls over, like, super. But an accident, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's a tough one. If you accidentally really trip and you, oh shit, boom, you bump the dude, bump, he falls over. Oh, bloody hell, boom. It's an accident. Your mindset thereafter, as opposed to you accidentally pushed him, is going to be vastly different. Because your, let's call it a normal person, would feel more bad because I murdered this person. It was an act of murder. I laid hands on this person. That's what I think one of the first things we spoke of is the actual fact of, whether I'm pulling a lever or the person just falls, it's different from me actually physically laying hands on the person. That act of laying hands on the person gives you accountability for that.
Mm.
That accountability comes with consequences. And those consequences are something you have to face there afterwards. I think that's the action and the thereafter. A pure accident, a person can, if you look at the aftermath, you'll go through certain psychological issues. If you had an accident, it will be different, vastly different. Your psychological mindset thereafter will be different, vastly. It's a child, sorry, I'm getting back to children again. It's a child that is preteens that gets away with something. He tests the waters. I got away with that. Aha. Let's push that one a little further next time. Or I know I can do that next time. Similar principle. Certain things you can get away with, certain things you just can't.
Mm.
The doctor issue is the same. I mean, that paramedic that's sitting there, if you're alone, I would not have a clue of what paramedics would really do when they get to such an incident, but I would think it becomes a moral issue.
Mm.
It really has to become a moral issue, because if my loved one is lying there and I'm the only person there, and I see there's two other people, I think 90% of people will go for their loved one first.
Yes.
They would. And if you were able to stabilize a loved one and maybe save one other person, great. You did a good thing. If you were able to stabilize two and your loved one died, then you would have or stabilize one and help the other one and your loved one died. It'll be a totally different story. So the moment you personalize things, something in a thought exercise, it becomes a bit more of an issue. It's the fluffy issue. Yeah. It's let's talk about the fluffy issue. Because fluffy is the same way. 7 o'clock in the evening, mom, dad, son, daughter, all sitting at home. It's 7 o'clock. Mommy is busy, just starting to get things ready. Or what? 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Mom's busy getting dinner ready. Hasn't started yet. Just putting everything together, and knock comes on the door. And the family is sort of in the lounge area.
Mm.
So knock comes on the door. Dad opens the door. Here's a person standing with Fluffy in their hands. Unfortunately, Fluffy ran into the road, and they drove over Fluffy. It was an accident. It was an accident. They are broken down because they drove over Fluffy. Mom comes in. She sees Fluffy. The children are in a state. Fluffy's dead. They hand Fluffy over. You say thank you. They leave. You stand with Fluffy. Mom looks at everybody. She goes, you know what? I am busy making dinner. Let's skin Fluffy and eat Fluffy. How do you feel about that?
No, thank you.
You see, that's where little things like that comes in, and you sort of all of a sudden go, no, I wouldn't do that. I would never, never, never do that. But
It gets
then,
a little more personal for me if I have an actual Fluffy.
The problem is, as the two of us are sitting here and we're discussing the principle, you will sort of get a consensus of ideas. But if you sit in a group of 50 to 100 people, you're going to get some colorful ideas coming out of there. That's for damn sure.
You can have them debating it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The morality issue in the consequential issue, facing consequences thereafter, and let's put it this way. We live our lives to devoid the principles of pain. So whatever you do in your life on a daily basis, in thought, in work, in action, and everything, you do so you don't receive pain, whether it be physical, whether it be mental, whether it be psychological, it doesn't matter. You avoid pain in anything and everything you do. But you can't just avoid it. It's going to come your way. It is going to come your way. So what some people have done in the past is I'm not saying this is a cure, by no means. But what some people have done is if you go through enough of these thought exercises and you make them, let's call them a little bit more extreme, so you throw loved ones into the equation and that type of thing, and you come up with and you tackle it as a problem-solving exercise. It's a thought exercise, but it's still a problem-solving exercise. And how you're going to deal with these things. It helps you deal with things in your real life as well at the same time. If I do something, we're going to later on talk about what we do in our classes and things like that, for instance. People have difficulty doing something different because of what we call the newness of the situation.
Yes.
You've never been through that factor. Your body has never done that type of thing. So you're sort of approaching it with like, okay, what the hell? How am I supposed to do this? How is my body supposed to act in this scenario? As you build up that, let's call it a library of problems, and you take them, and don't take problems that is in your life, or problems that you have with friends or family or whatever, because those are different things. These are thought exercises, and you're going extreme over here. What you're looking here is to push your boundaries of morality and decision making and consequences. Those are the three things you need to push: morality, decision making, consequences. Now you come up with the most extreme thought exercise you possibly can, like, would you eat Fluffy? Would you save your loved one first before the other one? I'm not calling this extreme, but to that point at that specific time,
that uncomfortable thought.
It would be. If you create enough of those thought type exercises in your life, and especially when it comes to problem solving exercises, because that's what you want with these type of things, is you want to put yourself in a situation without actually going there.
Yes.
And create a scenario, solve the problem, and have those three factors work out. So the problem is solved, the consequences of that problem is going to be fair, it's going to be good, it's not going to be violent or negative. And all the other things are just going to fall into place with it. You also want to have thought exercises where it pushes your boundaries very, very, very far. So things that you would not even even go. We're going to go, I'm going to give you one out quickly. Okay, here we go. Family of 4. Mom, dad, brother, and sister. They are going on a holiday, school holidays. They're all in, boy and girl are still in school. They're in their matric year. They both, let's call them both 18 years old. They're both 18 years old. So now, going on a holiday, going down to the lake. It's going to be nice. Fluffy's with us this time as well. We haven't eaten Fluffy yet.
Okay.
We're still deciding whether we can eat Fluffy. Okay. Going to the lake, I got a cabin at the lake and everything goes beautiful. And on the second evening, it's mom and dad's wedding anniversary. They decide for the evening they're going to go out for dinner at a local restaurant, and they're going to make an evening out of it. And the 2 youngsters decide, well, they're going to just stay in for the night, watch a movie, and order in some pizza and just make an evening out of it. Mom and dad goes off, pizza gets ordered. They climb into mom and dad's liquor cabinet a little bit, and halfway through the evening they decide to themselves, hang on a second, let's look at it this way. We're both very, very, very curious. What would happen if she knows what's happening? What would happen if we were to have sex? What would that do with us? So they decide, hang on a second, there's nobody around. Let's do it. Mom and dad's going to be away for the evening. We slightly toasted. Let's do it. So they do it. When they finish, they decide, okay, that was good. Let's never talk about this. It was not a negative experience, but we'll never ever do this ever again. We're never ever talking about this to anybody that stays with us. How do you feel? Was that a good decision? Was that a bad decision? Is it morally right? Is it morally wrong? Should they have gone, hell no? Or should they have just gone, hey, well, we're human beings. Not like my sister's on birth control. I'm using a condom. Nobody's going to get pregnant. Nothing is going to go wrong here.
Subtitles on my face is no. 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 Personally, no. No. Should not do that.
Exactly. You see, that's where your moral reasoning comes in. If you create things like that, there's certain things that you've got a definitive no. But there are certain things that people will go, yeah, I don't know. Would be in the right situation. That's where the internal-external thing comes in. When you give people moral exercises like this, when you're in a group or like us sitting speaking to each other, when you verbally explain your answers to these things, you're also sitting in a group or you're sitting with people and you think to yourself, I can't really go. People will think strange of me if I say this or that. So I'm going to give the morally correct answer. Now you take some of these exercises and you play them only through your mind. Nobody knows what your thought process is. Nobody knows what the outcome is. It's a thought exercise for yourself. You still want to measure those 3 things. Where would you go now? Would you now go for certain things? I don't know. I could probably sidestep that.
I think you feel more comfortable exploring a little more in your own mind than having to say it out loud.
You're certainly safer.
Yes.
Certainly safer. The possibility of actually doing it is also probably less.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to, this is where the good life principle, or I call part of the good life principle. There is a thing out there called the good life principle, which feeds in all sorts of domains. Gets quite involved and quite intense. For me, the good life principle basically comes down to surround yourself with the right people all the time. but also having a clear, direct moral compass, when you are have the capability of standing up for yourself, which is important. You have the capability of standing up for others, or not standing up for others, but also standing with others. When you come to creating moral problem, these type of moral exercises in your brain, what you can do is, as you create these problems, if you for instance create 2 problems a day, I mean, you can go online and look for moral dilemmas, for instance, a list of the moral dilemmas, and you take 2 of them a day, just 2, and you solve those moral dilemmas for yourself. It doesn't say that that situation is owned to you, because that's also another problem. We tend to want to solve things that has to do with us, that influences us. Something like this, I mean, I don't have a fluffy, so I'm not going to eat the fluffy, but I can go through the moral exercise, you know. I'm not going to sleep with my sister, but I can go through the moral exercise of it, you know. And you can go through the whole thing. The paramedic is the same principle again, you know. At that point in time, you can almost see the person going, shouldn't I? You know, that's where that compass is a bit more loose. But I really think if a person creates moral dilemmas, you don't have to have 2. You can have 1 moral dilemma a day. Take that 1 moral dilemma and play with it, and just expand that idea in your mind. What you're doing is you're essentially creating a framework for problem solving. And the better you do with dilemmas, whether it be moral dilemmas, whether it be paradoxes that you solving to a degree, you are continuously problem solving. The only time we really problem solve is when the shit hits the fan or things go wrong. Then, oh hell, I must problem solve immediately. But now you've got a whole bunch of other things that's running: anger, resentment. You're tired. You're hungry. You're thirsty. Whatever. You know, there's so many other things that goes with it. So, trying to shush. Great stage for you to work on a moral dilemma. That person probably going to turn around and slap you. You know what I mean? It's, no, I'm angry right now. I can think morally, but I'm going to slap you first, and then then we're going to go through this. But if you take that exercise for yourself and you work through that, not only, well, I suppose you are working on your moral compass, because you are creating moral problems, although that moral compass should be there already, when you're in your teens and going up already. That's where that should really be fermented into your life already. But it also helps you with other problems that comes into your life. So when you're facing an issue, if you are inherently easier for you to go the route of problem solving, because you're doing it on a daily basis already. You're doing it with paradoxes. You're doing it with moral reasoning, you know, then whatever you face in your normal life decreases. Problems decrease. Your way of dealing with those things decrease. Your tension level when facing unknowns or things that you don't know how to deal with decreases. So it is a really good factor to have into your life that you can work with every single day. Just like I said, go on the internet, look up moral dilemmas or paradoxes, and just play with them. Just let them play with them. There's so many out there. There's so many.
Join us every Monday at 7 p.m. for the week's discussion.
Behind the scenes.
I think that's good.
That's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a nice one.
How long did we talk, actually? I didn't look at the time. Does it say there?
Oh dearie dear.
Oh dear, didn't it record? Don't say that.